Desiree, thanks for coming.
Wouldn't miss it.
I hope you're not writing while you're driving.
Of course you know I am. No, I'm
Now,
not.
that leads us, I don't know if it's in the script anywhere, but in the 1940s, people would write the inventory for their sponsee. And I think that's a very good idea. If somebody's a little slow on their step four, I think if you sponsor somebody and if the person's willing, you sit down with them and you write their inventory. You want to keep the person moving. Um, Now we have another writing exercise. Doesn't take quite as long. If I can find it. We're gonna, on a blank sheet of paper, I gotta shrink this down where I can read.
We're not going to share on what we just did, Rick, or
No,
that's
no,
optional.
that's you share that with your with your sponsor or somebody who hears your step five.
Okay,
We're not quite up
gotcha.
to the group
I
step.
thought we did that. I thought the last time before we shared it, but that's cool. No worries.
That was in the dream that you had.
You did share it last time. That's why Ricky said, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds about right.
Now we're on a blank sheet of paper. We're going to list all these things if you can see them on the screen: selfishness, unselfishness, dishonesty, honesty, false pride, humility, jealousy, trust, envy, contentment. And we're going to write all those things on a sheet of paper. And this one we're only going to spend about 5 minutes, but we go through and you list the ones, things, examples for each one. So let's go ahead and spend, I think, 5 minutes, and we do that.
So we write down these words and then what, sir?
Then you put down an example of where you're selfish, or any you can think of, only things you can think of, and then you write down examples of when you're unselfish, and then you write examples of when you're dishonest, and it's just something that means something to you. Dishonest with the guy that cuts my grass. I never paid him. I'm honest. I called the guy that cut my grass 2 years later, and I finally paid him for cutting my grass. But do you understand? These are traits. It's an inventory of you. Okay, now if we just take a minute or two, and I'm not sure if you can see my pad, but the things that you think most apply to you, you circle that one. Like on mine, I circled unselfish, and then between dishonest and honest, I put the circle in the middle because I kind of do both. And circle the ones that most apply to you. Alrighty, again, this is something you either share with your sponsor or someone that hears your fifth step. Oh, I missed two. Laziness and activity. Oh well.
Well, let's add those.
You could add that's something we can pick up laziness or activity. And of course, obviously, you if you're on the left, you want to work towards the stuff on the right. Now I'll pick up the reading here. Help me to see where resentment has plagued me and resulted in spiritual malady. But more importantly, help me to understand my part in these resentments. Help me to resolutely look for my own mistakes and to understand where I have been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. Please help me to be searching and fearless in my endeavor to write my inventory. Now, if we could do this prayer in unison, it's the fourth step resentment prayer. It comes from the Friends of Bill W. If everybody's ready, we'll start our prayer. God, please help me to be free of anger and to see that the world and its people have dominated me. Show me that the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, has the power to actually kill me. Help me to master my resentments by understanding that the people who have wronged me were perhaps spiritually sick. Please help me to show those I resent the same tolerance, pity, and patience that I would cheerfully grant a sick friend. Help me to see that this is a sick man. Father, please show me how I can be helpful to him and save me from being angry. Lord, help me to avoid retaliation or argument. I can't be helpful to all people, but at least show me how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. Thy will be done. And then we have another prayer. Dear God, I have a resentment towards a person that I want to be free of. So I'm asking you to give this person everything I want for myself. Help me to feel compassionate, understanding, and love for this person. I pray that they will receive everything they need. Thank you, God, for your help and strength with this resentment. And then I'll read this by myself. If you have a resentment you want to be free of, if you will pray for the person or thing that you resent, you will be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be given to them, you will be free. Now we circled the traits that most apply. And okay, we've done our prayer. So let's give ourselves a hand. We're done with step 4. This is tremendous. This is tremendous. This is
Hey.
great. Now we're to step 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Does somebody want to pick up the reading with having made our personal inventory?
I can do that, Rick.
Thanks.
Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We have been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and to discover the obstacles in our path. We have admitted certain defects. We have ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is. We have put our weak items in our personal inventory. Now these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which, when completed, will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. This brings us to the 5th step in the program of recovery mentioned in the preceding chapter. This is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is no doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We will be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. The best reason first. If we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives, trying to avoid this humbling experience, and they have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. We think the reason is that they never completed the house clean. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought that they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought that they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty, in the sense we find it necessary, until they told someone else all their life story.
Thank you. Thank you. Any comments on that reading?
Hi, this is Jerry.
Go ahead.
Happy holidays to everybody. You know, I was thinking a lot of this really applies, what we've been doing today applies to the holidays for me, because I've been remembering having a lot of 4th step remembrances of past holidays. With my family, some of those people are not on planet Earth anymore, so to speak. And I experience, you know, like I constantly remember things that I have done in the past that I regret. And I just, you know, associated with the holidays, I remembered, you know, some things last night that I, you know, just new revelations or new memories of things that I had done wrong around the holidays, or at least I have some emotional reaction to thinking about those things. So I wish everybody a happy holidays. There's a lot of memories associated with this season, and I just wanted to bring that up. I was also thinking, you know, there's a lot of hope in that reading, and I also had the thought, you know, I also like to read the Bible, and I experience a lot of hope when I read the Bible, and that's another place. I think that these readings are inextricably related to the Bible, and they arise from them. That's just my opinion. From the Bible, you know, I see it, that there were things in the book that just bled through into this book. And anyway, I'll just stop. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll share. I think that it's really important to see that what we're saying is to try to make sure we get everything as much as we can remember. Put it down on paper, because if we skip something in there, we may not overcome overeating. And that's what he's saying here. So if there's something in there that you can remember that you're not putting down on paper because you're too embarrassed about it, or afraid of judgment and whatnot, that's the thing that you got to put on the paper, because that might be the thing that's going to keep you back, because you think it's so awful or so horrible that you did X or Y. And whatever that may be the item that is holding you back, because it's the thing that bothers you the most about yourself. And no matter how many times you try this, if you don't let that one thing go that is so important to you because you're holding on to it and you're keeping it a secret, that's the thing that's going to keep you from overcoming your addiction. I'll pass.
Thanks, Francis. Thanks.
Can I say something else, Rick? Because I had a
Yeah,
thought.
yeah, go ahead. Go
Just a
ahead.
brief thought. And it's about this kind of meeting, this Back to Basics workshop. And Alan was talking about something I experienced in the normal big book meeting that I would go to in any program.
Hey, Jeff.
I would never go steadily to the same big book meeting. So I would always come in at a different place. And so I had a long history of going to big book meetings, and I'd walk in and they'd be in, someplace, but never in the natural succession that the readings were supposed to be in. Like if you just went to that big book meeting, I don't know how long it would take to get through the whole book, a couple of years maybe, the speed they were going, 3 paragraphs at a time. This is the opposite of that. And it gets it's comprehensive, and it's all the pertinent readings that you would get in the big book meeting if you went steadily for 3 years, and I think it's great because it helps that process. It encourages reading the big book, and it also gives an outline of what is necessary to understand it. I'll just pass. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Anybody else? I'm going to mention the fact that the best OA meeting I ever went to was in Lady Lake, Florida, and it was a big book study. And they did the steps and the intro, but they read from the big book and shared, and read from the big book and shared. And there was some wonderful women down there who'd been abstinent for 30 or 40 years. And one of those sweet women, she still calls me to this day, even though I haven't been to that meeting in years. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. She's very precious to me. Anybody else? Alrighty, if I can figure out where we are. I think having persevered with the rest of the program is where we start reading. Can somebody pick up the reading?
All right.
Having persevered with
I'll pick it up.
Thanks, Terry.
Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. I think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty. In the sense we find it necessary, and honesty, in the sense we find it necessary until they told someone else all their life story. More than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He is very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. He is the one he likes his fellow. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but he knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. The inconsistency is made worse by the things he does on his sprees. Coming to his senses, he is revolted at certain episodes he vaguely remembers. These memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. As fast as he can, he pushes these memories far inside himself. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension that makes for more drinking. Psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We have spent thousands of dollars for examinations. They know but few instances where we have given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told them the whole truth, nor have we followed their advice. Unwilling to be honest, with these sympathetic men, we're honest with no one else. Small wonder many in the medical profession have a low opinion of alcoholics and their chance of recovery. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom to take this intimate and confident step. This is us belonging to a religious denomination which requires confession. Must, and of course, we want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk with someone ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. I'm going to pass.
Thanks, Terry. Does somebody want to comment on that?
I'll say a couple of things about that.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting. There's a guy that I go to some meetings in Boston, and I've heard a lot of rumors that people up in Boston go to this monk to give that there was some guy that they had a reputation. I think he might have taken a vow of silence. So yeah, that's the kind of person that I would want to tell some of these things. I found though that since the pandemic started, that it's interesting to meet people in faraway places, and that it's easier to be honest with people in faraway places. Just a certain thing that has popped up, which is positive about. Like if you tell someone something in your community, it's possible that there could be a leak there. So I just think that there's a certain aspect of what has occurred that has made it easier to find people for me to be honest with. So I'm thankful for that. And I pass. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Anybody else? Does somebody want to pick up with the reading with if we cannot or would rather not do this?
I'll pick back up.
Thanks, Terry.
Terry. If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintances for a closed mouth, understanding friend. Perhaps our doctor or psychologist will be the person. It may be one of our own family, but we cannot disclose anything to our wives or our parents which will hurt them and make them unhappy. They have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. Such parts of our story we tell to someone who will understand yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but also considerate of others. Notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available. If that is so, this step may be postponed only, however, if we find ourselves in complete readiness to go through with it at the first opportunity. We say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person. It is important that he is able to keep confidence that he fully understands and approves what we are doing, what we are driving at. Alcoholics Anonymous.
Excellent. Any comments on that? I do like that you want to be able to keep a confidence and that he understand and approve with what we're driving at. If you have a friend you're going to do step 5 with that thinks that what you're doing is silly, you don't want to do your step 5 with them. Somebody want to pick up the reading with that he will not try to change our plan.
I can pick it up right